Welcome back to another edition of the FGA Report. I am here with Coach Johnny from Team Go Get It down in the Fort Lauderdale area. Coach, appreciate you coming on the show. You guys had a very good weekend this past weekend, learned a lot about your squad, and that's why you're here. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on. Definitely a blessing to do this. And you guys, we were happy just to come up there. I've been looking at DR7. Well, Jonathan, I don't remember when he was at Championship 7-on-7, and
Sure.
he reached out to me and wanted me to come out. But this year we finally was able to come out there, and we had a great time. Very well organized event, and it was very competitive. A lot of competitive kids, a lot of prospects out there that are playing really good ball.
Well, that's what it's about, man. I and there's no way around it. The 4 and 5 star kids. I mean, that are like you mentioned to me off the air that you coached Ennis when he was like 12. Everybody knew Brandon's a little different mentally and physically. Okay, I'm going to make more money if I write about Brandon, but my aim is not just talking about that. He'd let me write an article about him whenever. He's a nice kid. The point is still the same. I want to broaden, and especially where you are, the athleticism and the desire that goes with it in the greater Broward County, specifically Broward now, is insane. A lot of those kids, I mean, I know you know a lot of the same guys I do, and probably a lot better because you're from there. But I'm familiar with a lot of the coaches, 7-on-7 high school. A lot of these kids literally are lucky to eat. And that's not an exaggeration. You know that. I mean, and I do too. I know coaches at several programs, Ely, Deerfield, STA, etc. And they tell me stories. All of them do. So that's why I like trying to highlight the kid that's not, he doesn't have a Hurricanes offer. He doesn't even have an offer to FAU. That does not mean, especially where y'all are, that he can't play. And the first kid we're going to talk about for you is, quite frankly, as symbolic as it gets for a kid that is very skillful, just wrong place, wrong time. He was at STA. I'll let you take it away and describe it here in just a second. I'll put up some video of it.
Yeah, Logan's the name is Logan Scott, man. He's a 2023 receiver. He was at basically started his career at St. Thomas. Obviously, St. Thomas is a very prestige high school down here.
Oh, yeah.
Um, all the kids, believe it or not, kids would say they don't, but all the kids really want to go to St. Thomas at the end of the day for that national exposure. So he
Sure.
was, yeah, so he was there freshman year, sophomore year. Didn't really get any play time, obviously because there was a lot of great players in front of him. He came to our program last year, which is his first year with us. I didn't know anything about him when he came. He came to tryouts, and I was like, "Who's this kid?" And he's like, okay, and he basically lit it up, did his thing. I was like, "Wow, this kid can play." And then once we put him on the squad all year long, the kid just kept making plays after play at the wide receiver position. Great young man, great character, great family. And he just balled out. He was never scared. He would go against anybody, didn't matter who it was, just always competed. Obviously, our first tournament this weekend, he just basically capitalized on what he did last year. Now he's transferring to Somerset Academy, Panthers over there in Pembroke Pines. He just wants an opportunity to play and display his talents because he wasn't really getting it at St. Thomas for whatever situation it was. But I'm excited to see him this year at Somerset, along with
Me
the
too.
quarterback that you guys featured, Camden Hartzell. That connection should be crazy. So
Well,
yeah, I
they
see what we're
already
doing.
they have some kind of connection there that's hard to explain. Like that play on the video, Cam just decided to throw it to the corner, and I don't know the route. I didn't see the play and all that. But when he caught that, I was over in that corner.
I didn't even know he was going to catch. I was like, oh, that's a tough one. I'm like, wow, he made a
It
play.
was not where it needed to be compared to where he was at the time. He had to, when you look right over your shoulder and you realize you got to turn and go left. Most NFL guys
Can't do
do
that.
not. I mean, they just don't. Now, to Cam's credit, I'm going to give him. I hate saying this about high school kids, but most kids that throw that ball in the corner like that, throw it too low, too hard. I mean, the room for error is about -10. But he lobbed this one enough right here. It came down, and he had a little time to adjust. And still, the adjustment there is not normal for a college player, let alone a kid who's quite frankly never really played in high school that much.
Right.
So I don't even know if he had stats last year. I didn't even think to ask him at the tournament.
He played punt return and kickoff return last year mostly.
I mean, he's fast as all get out, and he's quick. He's not the biggest kid. He's $150, $160. He needs to add some weight, but you can't teach quote unquote twitchy. Like literally, you have more slow twitch muscle fibers than you do fast. You were born with them. The amount you can improve them is pretty limited. So God blessed him with that, and I'm sure he's going to have people ask him the following question, because this is what college coaches always ask me. Where are the corners at? Where are the DBs at? Because nobody wants to play it because of guys like that. It's just true. All the rules are set up for offense at all levels now. Used to be just kind of NFL, but hell, we watch a college game. Everybody on defense gets targeting. If a running back lowers his head and hits somebody, no. You look at the receiver, they get angry at you. So, I'm being facetious, but you know what I mean. It's ridiculous. Hartzell is an interesting kid. He's a freshman there, and I could tell that he was a little bit different. And I watched him a little bit, and he's warming up for one of your games. And I said, "What grade are you?" And I figured he was going to say, "I'm going to be a junior or senior." He said, "I'll be a sophomore next year." I'm like, "Oh," because the way he carried himself was a little different. The way he communicated was different. Good play, bad play, he stayed in the middle. He wasn't that sky high. Well, usually 15-year-old kid, and I get it. He's been around some people that have taught him not only sport but life, which that's advantageous in a million ways. But talk a little bit about him and what you know about him.
I know a lot about Cam. Actually, Cam been with us since he was 12 years old. So he's been playing with Team Go Get It since he was 12, and you just kind of see it when he was young. Like the kid had the mechanics. Obviously, he trains off season. His parents are really good people, so he gets training. So he's been playing quarterback for a long time. 12 years old, he's done his thing, and then as soon as he turned 13, 14, he was playing with our 15U last year.
Okay.
13, 14 years old. I think he just turned 15 or something like that. So he played last year with our 15U, and killed it last year. He's a type of kid that he's a leader. He's poised, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, always even kill, good arm, very smart, and knows where he wants to go with the ball. Doesn't take a lot of chances, but he's just very methodical in how he throws the ball. And I was excited for this year to come into this year to see him take that varsity level and just basically expand and get better. He had a great year with Somerset. I think he's been at Somerset, since he's been in 8th grade. He actually beat out a senior last year for the starting position at Somerset as a freshman, which was crazy.
Yeah, I bet that didn't go over very well with some seniors.
It didn't go well, but he basically was the leader of that team. And down here, it's a big deal. As a freshman, if you can play quarterback for a high school team, that's a big deal. He did a very good job and got some film.
Well, I'm glad to see that he did. And I told you and some other guys, hey, man, this is great that you guys are kind of, getting Team Go Get It going. But it's nice to see programs that aren't, I won't even say their names because I know you know them. And you probably know all the coaches firsthand and you call each other. That's how it works in coaching profession. There are 5 or 6 schools in your county. And then there's the drop off. Not that the talent's bad, but the winning in the next level is like, they just completely dominate. Yeah. It's nice to see. It's just true. And nationally at that. But it's nice to see a few other teams kind of coming up and having guys. Like I know some of the schools don't necessarily get a ton of publicity, but like Monsignor had Shamar, just him playing there and him not going to Chaminade or STA or something. And I know Shamar, he's a nice kid. He could have. I know everybody recruited him. I don't give a crap what any coach tells me. I know every single coach. Yeah. Yeah. And he was a grown man when he was 14, 15 years old. But it's just good to see a different program kind of step forward. A buddy of mine took over the Ely program. I'm hoping he gets it going because at one time, man, Ely had guys. They won state in 2002. You know, it goes up and down with the public schools, and I get it. You know, there's a Big Fife is no longer at Deerfield. There's some change going on in your county, and then there's the few that they steady as it come. You know,
every year consistent,
and it's respected. But
yeah,
I still
some other schools on up and come as well. Dillard, I've been watching.
Oh yeah, Dillard's different now. Dillard's different.
They've this offseason they've added some kids, man. I'm excited to kind of see what they're gonna do. They're probably gonna give some people some serious business during the season because they've added some kids to that program.
I didn't see them live last year, but if this is a generic statement in general, but with the skill talent at any team in Broward, even a team that, as you I'm sure will attest to the following, please correct me if I'm wrong. If you and I go to a practice at like Fort Lauderdale High or MacArthur or some school that's struggling some, but then all of a sudden they get the right quarterback transfers in, all those skill kids around.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's just true. I watched Dillard a couple years ago when they kind of started their resurrection. They were playing Fort Lauderdale that night, and they were basically trying to run out the clock by the end of the first half. They were just running basic draw and quick hitters and getting 15 yards. They were just better. But, you know, that's when you start to know. But they didn't have a quarterback that was dominant. You give a program like that a quarterback, you know what I mean? It's like that's the difference between winning state and making like the quarterfinals. It's
you know, football quarterback is a secret sauce. You have a quarterback in your program that can play. Sky's the limit. All you need is a couple skill players that can do what they need to do, and you're there. Quarterback is there.
You can eliminate the talent like this, to use the obvious. Cardinal Gibbons, STA, Chaminade, those are the three programs, all American Heritage. They always get the linemen. The D linemen are always at those schools. As a general rule, Deerfield would be another one that has some D linemen, obviously. You can eliminate some of those guys with the quarterback play, and that's why you having Hartzell and him being at Somerset. I'm hoping that I have reason to go. I don't know how your guys' schedule works and how, you know, you're going to be 4 or 5A or whatever. And of course, there's this proposal, the city versus like the rural. And all. I don't know who's going to vote for what long term and how that's going to work. But I saw enough of him just in 7-on-7 and his demeanor. And that's why I brought up those things, that I think he can be a kid that in the playoffs down the road, I mean, he's still a 15-year-old kid. It's not going to be too big for him. And Logan, while he's obviously, they're going to roll coverage to him. This just in. I'll go ahead and call the other team's defense for you.
But they have more than him.
That's what I'm saying. And that's when the because if you don't have a real quarterback, he'll still throw it to the guy that's double covered and it goes the other way. So I'm curious to see. I'll go to one of their fall practices or something when I go to STA. I'll stop by there too or something, because now I'm curious. Like I didn't even know who the hell Somerset Academy was or whatever it's called. I had no idea. That's why 7-on-7 is cool. And I've been saying this. I do 2 or 3 podcasts a day, and I tell everybody the same thing because there's a debate about this. And let me be very, very clear. 7-on-7 not only promotes skill, gives young men something to do, keeps them out of trouble. Because as I know this, you'll agree with this too. Nothing worse for a 16 to 20-year-old than idle time. That does not go well. I know that personally. But if you get talented kids together and they're playing, they get better and all that, and they also get recruited. I know it because I have like soon as I post a video, I'll have guys hit me up. These guys don't really want to talk to me, but they need detail. They have no choice because I can call a guy anytime I want. They cannot. That's fact. Now some of them still do, but that's another story.
Yeah, you know, there's the restrictions to the game. You know how it is.
So if you think that recruiting is not a part of 7-on-7, that is 100% false. It is a huge part of it. And I know, fact. So next player you want to talk about with your squad. I know we talked a lot about quarterback, but I mean, you guys had a lot of quickness. Just, you know, some slot kids. You didn't have like that big 6'4", 205 boundary guy that was like just physically dominating guys down the field. Right. But again, that's why it's interesting to see what you guys did, because when you guys came out there, I'm like, okay, I can tell this is a quick team. And then at that point, I had no idea what you were going to do. I had no idea. I had no idea who anybody was. And I'm like, who's that? Of course, Logan stood out quickly. Then the other kids are all open, because when he runs down the field, everybody's like, oh, no. No, I mean, you could tell. Once he made a big play, everybody else sees it. Nobody wants to get put on YouTube, brother. That's not fun. It's just true. Yeah, Instagram right now with him is probably pretty warm, if you know what I mean. So, who do you also want to talk about?
There's another kid from Somerset. He's young as well. He's a 2025 kid, Johnny Arnoose Jr. He's about 5'11", 160, 170 receiver. He's more of a thicker kid. Plays probably the X and the Z. He's probably one of those guys that can out jump you for the jump ball. Probably an 80-20 guy. He's still young. Obviously, there's some stuff he needs to work on, but he's going to be a serious player at Somerset as well. He was number 1 on our team. He made a couple big plays as well for us. We have tons of guys. We also have some STA kid. This kid's about 6'4", 215. He plays tight end. His name is Takai Kirby. He didn't get much. Obviously, they had Mason over there playing tight end. So I think this year coming in, he's still at STA. I think this year's his chance to kind of take that next level and play the tight end position. Very good. He ran. I think he went to, before he came to our game or tournament, he ran a low 4.6 at some type of there was a combine he did. So he's 6'4", 215 tight end, runs a low 4.6, almost a 4.5, and can go up and catch the ball. So I'm excited to see him this year for STA. And there's just a plethora of guys that we have as well. Some guys that haven't got a lot of chance. We actually have a 2022 kid. His name is Cameron Joseph. This kid, he went to Atlantic High School in Palm Beach. Before that, he went to, I think, Olympic Heights or something like that. But he's just a chain mover. 2022 kid. I don't think he has any offers. If anybody picks him up, they got a great young man. But he just basically makes catches and just moves the ball. He was number 4 on our team. So that's who I can think of on the top of my head right now of some players that we have. And we have more players as well that does a great job for us.
All right, now I want to transition, just kind of talk about 7-on-7 in South Florida. I don't have a lot of the South Florida guys on, at least I haven't since I started this podcast a few months ago. The area obviously doesn't need hype in terms of it's got talent. That's never in debate. What needs to happen both at the 7-on-7 and high school level in your area to make it better?
I would say basically to make it better in our area. Our area is very talented, man. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it is.
Even
it's number 1 in skill talent.
There's a lot of diamond in the rough. I would say, in my opinion, I would say the refereeing at some of these 7-on-7 tournaments, they just need to be.
I had a conversation with somebody about that.
Referee in a high school game. So if they take that approach to a 7-on-7, it can make the game a little bit more fluid and more controlled. Obviously, the kids are going to have fun. You score a touchdown, they're going to all run and do all that. But the refereeing just needs to improve within the whole 7-on-7 circuit. And then some of the nonsense that goes around to these 7-on-7s, people just got to cut that stuff out. At the end of the day, we're trying to help these kids get, like you said, get exposure and keep them out of trouble. So they can display their talents in front of everybody. So those are the couple things I would say that probably needs to improve in that whole circuit down here.
Those 2 points are things that I actually have had conversations with people that matter. I'll let you figure out who they are in the last 48 hours. When a college coach communicates with me, text, email, phone call, it's always the same.
Yeah.
They already know who can play because everybody's got video out.
Yep.
Everybody does. They want to know about personality, the character, the grades. And I'm sure you get the same 3 questions.
Yep.
Why would you not? With that being said, officiating plays into that. And this past weekend, the officiating at the tournament you and I were at was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. And I know some of those officials will not be back. I have already been told, point blank. And I don't know how it started. And I've umpired baseball. I've been behind the plate getting drilled. It's not. Believe me, that hurts. That baseball is not soft. I respect officiating, but there were multiple times, and not just this tournament, but I was at Battle Miami, I was at Pylon Orlando, where a guy needed to make a critical call, last play of the game, et cetera, and he's so far out of position, no chance, because it's a bang bang play in the corner of the end zone. Either you're right there, or you're not. And these guys are getting guaranteed money, like $20 an hour or whatever. And it's not a real hard job. And I know they get yapped at by the parents. That's another problem. But some of them just don't even care. How long have you noticed the problem? Like, this is a high school officiating problem too. The officiating in high school football in Florida, like when I went to Texas this last year, they don't have this problem. It's not.
It's probably no nonsense.
Oh yeah, in Texas, you screw around there, you better not let anybody know where you live. They show up at your house in Texas, I guarantee you. Like, for real. That stuff's live and death there. They do not play games. But those guys, right now, I mean, they know what they're doing. And I guarantee you they get paid. As you know, in Florida, coaches get, at public school level anyway, get paid garbage. That's one of the problems. It's you and I and about 50 other coaches.
It's crazy.
But in Texas, a guy gonna make 125 grand a year, and he doesn't do anything besides coach, literally. And they buy his house, you know. And if they're doing that, the officials are getting more, so they're gonna take it. The answer is always money, and I understand that. But I know that Mumphrey told me he's going to spend some more money, get some different officials, etc. for DR7. That's great, but we got a high school problem, and I think that plays into the kids acting like fools sometimes. The parent problem, I have no idea what to do with because they're adults. If you want to tackle that, I have no answers. Fire away. Go right ahead.
Everybody the majority thinks their kids are the next man up. It's the next big thing. A lot of parents. It's a big parent issue. Even youth football, it's crazy.
I agree.
The way when I coach, I just kind of try to set the precedent with my parents and just let them know I'm just no nonsense. There's a way you have to act here, and if you can't comply, then you don't have to be here. So, but yeah, some parents can really get a little crazy.
On Sunday,
something on YouTube or something where it was a basketball. There was a parent trying to fight the ref or something, try to choke the ref. Yeah. Or something like that. I was like, whoa.
That's called, incarceration. You put hands on, they will put you in cuffs.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a little too extreme.
Oh, it's terrible. On Sunday, there was a guy, his kid was out there, first game of the day, contested game. There was a contested call, not the coach, but the parent of a kid and his young son, who's about 2.5 next to him. He was walking down the field talking to the ref. The little kid's out there wandering around like, and the referees never said anything, get him off. Like, everybody was just wrong. And I'm like, this is going to end badly.
Yeah.
You can't have a 2.5-year-old on the field ever.
No.
Yeah, it's liability that, some guy bumps that kid in the head.
Oh.
He died. That guy was so focused that he was mad at the ref. He saw nothing else. And that's what you're talking about, like the person choking the ref or what. He wasn't like angry, but what are you doing walking 10 yards onto the field?
Yeah. That's another thing with 707, man. The parent, like the sidelines, you're not really protected. Coaches are not protected. Parents are on the sidelines. So that's another issue with the 707 circuit as well, where it's not like high school where you got a fence, or even youth football where you got a fence around these fields. Parents kind of have access to see everything. But again, as the coach or whoever you are that's running the program, you just got to let your parents know, hey, listen, you got to stay away. You got to stay back.
I only know of one facility that has a fence, and it's a smaller one in Atlanta. And the parents were pissed when I was there last year, and I loved it. because they couldn't do what they wanted to do. You can still yell, but it's the physical closeness. The officials were never challenged in the sense like they felt endangered in any way. Everybody's going to miss a call. I mean, I miss plenty. But
we make mistakes, so what happens?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that's an issue that we've got to figure out. Is we need more officials because a ton have retired in Florida for what it's just part of the numbers. A lot have retired in the last 5 years, and it's hard to get crews at some games, especially like if you live in Sebring or something. You imagine trying to get crews to come out to Sebring. It's just out there by the lake. Nobody's going out to Sebring. So, well, one last thing for you. As recruiting has changed with the transfer portal and all that, it's a nightmare for a lot of kids. Like the kid you mentioned, it's 22. The chance of him signing D1 now are about zero. I don't know if he's any good, whatever. I told some other kids, and they didn't like it, but I was honest. I said, your best option is to treat NAIA, D3, D2, FCS like a junior college. Or you can go to junior college. You go for 2. If you're as good as you say you are, then you make some moves later. Is that the route you want to take? No. But what's your take on that?
Oh yeah, man. That transfer portal is killing a lot of kids' chances, man. It's even harder. A while back, obviously, it was easier. It was a little bit easier because you can have a transfer portal. It was more strict with transfer rules, but now it's you just gotta. I tell kids, listen. At the end of the day, you can't bank on a coach or a high school coach or a 7-on-7 coach all the time just to kind of promote you. You got to promote yourself.
100%.
On Twitter, marketing yourself, marketing your name, being a great character, doing what you need to do, training, putting in work, putting your film out there. You got to market yourself. So it's not like back in the day where you can just go and boom, they'll find you and all that. But you really got to work hard to get recruited these days. You got to be at the right places. You got to go to these camps. I take kids every season and go to these camps, these college camps, and I try to get them over there so they can be seen and do their thing. So it's all about camps if you're trying to get recruited these days.
Yeah, because even if you're a kid that's ranked for 2 years as a 3-star or higher, if like June is the next time kids can take visits.
Correct.
23. If you're a kid that's legitimately unsure where you should go after your 3rd visit in June, and you're getting to that latter half, you're like, man, I'm not going to be able to make a decision. That's fine. But those same 3 schools may not be fine because they may take a transfer.
Yep.
They may, and of course, there's another high school kid. It really tightens things. So are 16 to 18-year-olds really ready for that? We both know the answer there. No. But what are we going to do? You can't tell the college coach who's going to get fired if he doesn't win not to go look for a better player. That's his job. Exactly. So it's not everybody's bitching about look, you're also bitching at him because he's not winning enough. Which one is it? It can't have it both ways. So, and to put it in perspective, Nick Saban's a pretty good football coach. I think we can all agree on that. He even uses the transfer portal. And where would Alabama have been without Jamison Williams this past year? He averaged 19.9 yards per catch in the SEC West.
Yeah.
What would he have averaged, like in, the coastal division of the ACC? 25? You know what I mean? Like he would have won the Heisman. He'd have won the Heisman.
Easy.
If he'd have played at Miami with that Van Dyke kid.
Oh, easy.
That Van Dyke kid's legit. He's pro
Van Dyke for like 3,500 yards, I think, this year.
Yeah, they walked into one there. They got him from like Connecticut or something. I mean, that's steal of the last couple of years. He's a dude.
Yeah.
But that's like we were talking about quarterback. If you got a quarterback receiver thing, there you go. And Nick doesn't necessarily want to do it that way. He wants to bring in the high school kid and do it through his system, but every now and then. So that's just an example. Like I'm not for or against it. You just have to know how to utilize the portal And for anybody out there to put it in perspective, how hard it is, according to Rivals, their database a couple of days ago, about a week ago, 60% of the Power 5 kids that were in the database did not have a home yet, that were in the portal.
60%. You would that number would never been back in the day when Rivals was going on. You would have never seen them 60%.
It'd have been 5%.
Yes.
But so many kids. Look, I get the freedom for the no transfer, and that's the only reason it's exploded, because people, because of these, which just rang, we are desensitized to the word wait, because it's not even in our world. Anything you want is on your phone within 15 seconds. It's just true.
Right.
So outside of teleporting yourself somewhere, transportation is still a pain in the butt, especially where you live. I hate driving down where you live, and but everything is really quick. Well, just because you put your name in the portal doesn't mean that Nick or anybody else is going to call you. So 60%, that's 3 out of every 5 are like, if that doesn't put it in perspective, be very careful for what you ask. If you're, use a school as if you're at NC State and I'm better than that, are you? Because it's not your decision. It's the coach who hands out that scholarship.
Yep. What position they're trying to fill and need you at, and what kind of player are you? It's a lot that goes into it.
Now with the portal, a great way to look at it is it's almost like the NFL draft. It's not how good you are, it's position of need. Like if you're good and you're a corner, you gone. Because there aren't enough of the, as you know, there's never enough corners.
Everybody want to play receiver.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because of the rules, I get it. But corner, DN, D tackle, they gone.
Premium, you're right.
So, but everybody else, like if you're a left guard, tight end, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right, Brian.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man. I look forward to seeing you guys. It's fun talking football, and man, South Florida football is just tremendous. I look forward to getting back down that way again sometime in spring. When's your spring practice start? Do you know?
I don't coach high school. I just do 7-on-7.
Oh, you just do 7-on-7? I thought you'd be with somebody. I'm guessing it's.
I don't like the high school coaching. It's not for me. I'm busy enough with 7-on-7. I do training, and then, like I said, I take kids during the spring to college camps.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Stick with me just for a second. Everybody out there, say thanks to Coach Johnny, and please like and subscribe and hit that notification button. Johnny will be back on my show at some point, I can assure you. And, there are a lot of other coaches getting to talk about 7-on-7, guys talking about their high school programs, college recruiting, and all that will happen right here at the FGA Report. So thank you very much. Everybody have a great evening.